out here today and we're going to show you how to properly plant your tree. Before we've gotten to this point, we've gone through a couple steps to determine the right tree for the right place. We are out here today actually on a golf course, and we're planting this tamarind tree which needs a lot of sun. So that's why we picked this location. Every tree has some different needs. Some need a lot of sun, a lot of partial sun, some need a lot of moisture, some need less. So determining the right spot for your tree is absolutely critical. Also determining things like proper distance from a house or sidewalks before you're planting. We've also gone ahead and called 811 to make sure there's no utilities where we're planting at. And now we're ready to get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to make a big circle right around where we are planting our tree. So a couple inches off, and we're just going to etch the outline of where our tree is going to go. So then we'll pull our tree out of the way, and then we can start to dig our hole. One thing to remember when digging your hole is don't put your dirt too far away. Keep it right at the edge to allow it easier to refill your hole after you've got your tree in the ground. The other key is making sure that you're planting your tree at the right height and therefore digging your hole at the right height. And we want it to be even with the ground. So one of the easiest ways to determine that is by taking your tree out of its pot. So we can just gently lay it down, start to take the tree out. If you need to give it a little bang, that's okay. Sometimes you need a friend to do that. And now we can see our tree in the exact height. So we can go ahead and measure that, determine how high we're going to need to put that tree. So it looks like we're at a pretty good height, so we can start the next step. So now that we've got our hole dug to the correct depth so that our tree is going to be planted perfectly even with the ground, we're now able to give it a root massage. As you can see, this tree has been living in a pot for a little while, and the roots have started to grow kind of around it. So we want to get in there and get a little rough with it and make sure that we can pull those roots out so that they can start to grow out and really be strong. The one caveat is we do not do that with pines. Pines have a very delicate root system, so we do not give a pine a root massage just as we would our others. So we're going to really shake that up and get in there good so that those roots can grow out healthy and strong. As you can see, we've given our tree a good root massage. The roots are starting to all branch out so that they can grow nice. And now it's time to put our tree in its hole. Sometimes you might need a partner to help with this, so don't strain yourself. But this one's not too bad. I'm going to put that in there. And as we can see, it's nice and even with the ground. So we're going to hold that up straight as we start to backfill. We're going to take all that dirt that we left right nearby. We're going to start to put that in and fill in all around. You can also use your foot to make sure it all gets down there, that there's no big air holes, and that it's all refilled. So now that we've got our tree in the ground, it is nice and straight, it is nice and flat with where it was planted. There was obviously some extra dirt left over since we took a lot out. We put a tree in its place. We used some of that excess dirt to kind of make a ring around the outer edge, which is going to help us when we start to mulch. You might also notice that we've got a little bit darker dirt right here on top, and that's actually some compost that we like to add on top to give it some added nutrients and really help it grow. So now the next step is adding some mulch. So we're going to take our mulch and we're going to add it all along the outside right here. And we're going to start to fill a ring similar to like we did with that excess dirt. And we definitely do not want it to pile up against the trunk. That is very bad. What will happen is the roots will start to grow up the trunk and actually strangle the tree. So we really want to make sure that it's a ring and that it's kind of flat inside. And this will also help the water and moisture stay inside and get to the tree. So we've got our tree in place, we've got our mulch. Now we're going to add a trunk guard. We do this because we plant on a lot of public property that's landscaped by different crews. They might come around in a hurry to try and weed whack, and what that will do is nick the base of the tree, cut it up, and it could lead to long-term damage. You might want to do the same thing if you're planting on your own property. Obviously, you might not have the same risks with landscaping crews that we have to deal with, but that's why we put on this. All right, the final step in our process is going to be giving our tree water. We've got a 5-gallon bucket that we filled up, and we're just going to pour this all around. And as you notice, our mulch in our ring is doing a great job of keeping all that water right here, so it goes to the tree and doesn't just drift off to other places. So some things to think about is also the species of your tree, how much water it needs. We definitely recommend every other day for at least the first 6 to 9 months of giving your tree water. That's going to be really key to making sure that it can help it thrive. But every tree is a little bit different based on the species and how much water they need and how much it's actually naturally getting from rain. But now we've got a beautifully planted tamarind tree that is hopefully going to grow very tall and give us some much needed shade and other environmental benefits. And thanks for planting trees with us.